Welcome to What the Health? Where anything health is fair game as we tackle the trends and bust the myths about health and wellness. Here are your hosts, Dr. Dan and Angela Toro.
And welcome back to another What the Health podcast. I am Dr. Dan here with my two co-hosts,
Angela
and Dr. Riley.
Welcome back, guys. We got another episode for you here. As always, as you know, we're here for informational purposes only, not offering individualized medical advice. Always talk to your trusted healthcare provider before making changes to your routine. So,
with that being said, we're giving travel tips. We are in the heat of summer.
Literally
in the heat of summer. Massive heat wave across the Northeast here. But anyway, what should we be doing with travel? A lot of people don't.
We're not doing
what we're not doing. What should you do? We're just going to be giving some tips on. I don't think people realize the amount of stress that travel inflicts on their body, even though they don't feel it, and they think, "Oh yeah, I'm going on vacation, so it's relaxing, it's rejuvenating." But like the stress buildup of getting there. Staying in a awkward or different hotel bed or wherever you decide to go.
You're dealing with flights and changes in schedules and
absolutely
changing your sleep schedule.
Yeah, so I think we just want to kind of, discuss some of those things. And people, again, we always talk about, the simplest definition of health is adaptation, right? And so being able to adapt to your environment is key. But when we're getting outside of that normal routine of, our daily, work schedule and, schedule with the kids and going on a vacation, that's very outside our normal, natural routine. So that adaptation can be difficult. So, first and foremost, make sure that you have a good trusted chiropractor because they help you adapt to your normal healthy environment, right? Nervous system is the master controlling and adaptation system. So if you're working with a chiropractor who is helping you adapt and be healthier, that is going to help you as you are going and making these trips and treks. And then, of course, if you, if something goes a little haywire when you are traveling. I know a number of people come back and they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad that I'm home so that I can see you." Yeah, I need my adjustment. So, we're not going to harp on that too much because we harp on it a lot. But making sure that you have a good chiropractor that you are working with, someone who measures the nervous system, uses X-ray technology that can really look at your spine and your nervous system, how it's adapting, and how you can be optimally healthy and in a good, healthy, adaptive state. So, with that being said, what are some of the things that cause you stress when you go on on your trips?
For me, it's the food. I am not a snacker on a regular basis, and it just seems like when you go on, like all of a sudden you sit in a car. I mean, I can go all day without snacking, but I have a 3-hour car ride, and I'm like, ooh, I'm a little munchy. I need something.
She's a Hoover vacuum.
I need something to snack on. It's like
you get bored. You just want to start snacking.
That mindless eating, and then heaven forbid we go somewhere like you go with a group of people, and everybody brings something, I'm going to bring something, and all of a sudden you have enough food for an army. And the mindless snacking and just eating is what gets me. So and
of course they're not healthy snacks.
Oh no, I'd say our family has gotten better over the years, but definitely, especially with kids, I mean, stuff that I never had goldfish Cheez-Its, I'm like, ooh, this is
delicious.
Yeah, and then for a week after, I find myself there's Cheez-Its in the cart. I'm like, how'd those get there? I didn't. But yeah, so if you're somebody like me that really struggles with once you start, you can't stop. It's really just, again, trying to be mindful. Enjoy your vacation, of course, but especially if you're working towards a specific goal, if you've really been trying and being really on your diet and eating habits, you don't want to throw that all out the window for one vacation. And a week of being off your routine can really throw your body for a loop. So just really being mindful, asking yourself, do I really need this? Am I truly, hungry, or am I truly enjoying this, or am I just eating to eat because it's here?
Yeah.
And doing the best you can with, planning out ahead of time. So knowing if you're going to be staying at a house or, that has a kitchen, maybe planning to do some of your meals at home as opposed to eating every single meal out. because I notice that's what gets me is when every single meal is a meal out. Even if you're trying to do the healthy options, it's still going to be more sugar, more salt, more of the unhealthy fats than that I try to do on a regular basis. So, and then that just makes, again, then I just start to feel, it just makes you feel crappy and run down, and that's not how I want to feel on a vacation or after a vacation. So that's the part that I always am like, okay, how can I enjoy enjoy the things I don't always do, but not go over the top so that I'm completely, literally feeling like crap by the time the vacation's over.
Yeah, I think it's also nice, when you get to that location, someone who might not exercise routinely, or maybe only, does it 2 or 3 days a week, when you do go on a vacation, you might actually find yourself having more time to, get up and, take a walk on the beach or go for a hike or, be in the water somewhere. So you have those opportunities to be more connected with nature, which is very healing. It flips that nervous system from a very high stress, high anxiety, high strung system to more of the, parasympathetic, the rest, the digest, the calming, the healing. So making sure that you're taking the time to do that on a daily basis when you're on vacation, which, again, if you're up and you're moving around, it's going to help with your digestion, even if it's not necessarily
And again,
eating.
it's less time that you're just sitting with food in front of you. So that's, absolutely. That's, and again, it's just, and if you are going, on long hikes or going down to the beach and it, you want to take a snack because you're going to be down there all day, and planning ahead, like you said, we tend to go for the unhealthy stuff because it's easy and it's, it tastes good, but, throwing it, cutting up some fruit or some veggies, doing what's the new thing that Aaron just posted, the Snackle Box.
Snackle Box, yeah.
So literally it's a tackle box. What is that?
Tackle box.
Thank you. I'm like, not the Fisher. I'm like, that sounded right.
That's
Dr. Riley.
right there.
But like each compartment having, so one with fruit, one with veggies, nuts, and again, you put some crackers in, but having that all planned out ahead of time so you're not getting to the point that you're like, oh crap, I'm hungry, there's a gas station, what are my choices?
Donuts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think, like, for me, when I go traveling, it's like I'm craving either salty or sweet. Mm-hmm. So I think,
or a combination of the two.
Or a combination of the two, yeah. So if you're
back and forth.
If you're driving, you could just pack a quick cooler, cut up some fruit. You'll get some beneficial sweetness from those, and then even like just packing nuts that you like.
Yeah.
Kind of get that salty flavor from those. So those are kind of two ways to kind of counteract rather than jump into the gas station.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just on a hiking trip and stayed in an Airbnb, which was nice because again had refrigerator and kitchen. And my mom had brought Honeycrisp apples, and after a long hike, that sweet, cool Honeycrisp apple. I mean, honestly, it's like that tasted better than than any kind of crap junk food would have. So again, our body likes the healthy stuff. It's just we have to give it that and remind it that it likes that. When you start putting in all of the other stuff on a regular basis, your brain gets addicted to that sugar high, and those unhealthy fats fats and sugars are very addicting. So
so once you start the cycle, it just continues.
Yes. So by like you said, doing the fruits. Yeah, fruits are so naturally sweet, and so by doing that, it's like, oh, this is good. I want this now. Yeah. So get your body hooked on the good stuff instead of the unhealthy stuff. Which and obviously, if you're driving, a lot more freedom to be able to do that. If you're, doing a trip where you're going to be flying, again, might take a little bit more planning, figuring out. I'm actually impressed. Airports now have a lot more healthy options. Like, there's cafes or restaurants you can get. I actually got a really good breakfast sandwich when I was flying recently. And, again, there's other options. But then, figuring out where you're going, and is there going to be a grocery store? Is there going to be, again, just a little bit. We spend so much time planning, what we're going to do on our vacation. So just putting a little plan into, okay, what are we going to eat? How are just, again, it's food. We'll talk about all the time. Food is fuel. So, if you want to enjoy your vacation, you want to be putting good quality fuel into yourself so that you can truly have the energy and, feel good while you're doing all the things that you want to do.
Yeah, and so on top of that, in addition to thinking about the fuel,
The fuel.
yeah, the food and the fuel, but we're also looking at how we're getting there. So we mentioned either by car or by plane. That
Bus,
obviously,
I guess.
what's that?
Bus, I guess.
Bus, train.
Yeah.
I do want to take a train trip
Planes,
up
trains.
across like
Oh,
northern
yeah.
U.S. or northern Canada.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I've heard some wonderful things about those trips. So eventually, but
Generally, you're in some type of transportation where you don't have the freedom to get up
yes,
and
get
move
up
around.
and move around. So, I mean, the one thing that I always talk about, it drives me crazy when I see my son, with his head down in his phone. And again, I know so many kids and adults do this, but it's like, dude, we get to get your head up, And the other thing too is, so in addition to that, again, when your head's forward, you put so much stress and strain on, the back of the neck, which goes up into the head. It can cause headaches. It can cause, dizziness, disorientation, just, it closes down your airways. So you're not getting good, healthy oxygen to your system. So finding ways to get your head back in a good, comfortable position, which is also important because a lot of times if you're traveling and, you're not driving, you'll fall asleep in your seats. And falling asleep in your seat, whether it's on a plane, Dr. Riley just dropped his head down as he was falling asleep, probably from this podcast here. But yeah, I mean, if your head is like falling forward or off to the side and you don't have good pillow support, you could, even if you're there for 15, 20 minutes, like you could wake up and be in a massive amount of discomfort when you're in that very poor position. So if you're going in in a car, you have the ability to take your pillows, and we'll get to it in a second, which is nice if you're traveling to, a hotel or Airbnb or something that, you're not sure and
what the pillow quality.
Yeah, what the pillow situation is, and you do have pillows at home that you really, really enjoy. Having those with you when you travel is very, very important. It's always nice. We talked about this in a whole sleep podcast. Is I love pillows that are moldable. Some of those stiff pillows that are form fitting and they're designed to fit around your neck perfectly. And I'm like,
nope,
but every person is.
If I could sleep on a squishmallow,
exactly.
That's basically what I want.
Every person is has a little different physiology, and especially the mechanics of their neck and how it's related to their shoulder. I mean, my goodness, you go in and you actually measure collarbone to neck height ratio, and the length of someone's arm versus their torso. Like everyone's formed a little bit differently. Yeah. So there's no one size fits all when it comes to pillows. So I love pillows, and sometimes those stuffed animals work as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
I wasn't kidding. I would totally sleep on a
pillows are a stuffed animal that you can fit and form that it props your head up. Especially if you're on a plane, because you don't get to recline as much. At least nowadays in cars, a lot of the cars have really nice reclining seats.
Unless you're packed in with so much stuff and luggage. I remember our beach vacations, your knees are up in your chest. It's like, okay.
That was just you, because we didn't like you.
12 hours, all right. Here we go.
Here we go. We got everything in here that we need for the week.
Are we having fun yet?
Yeah. And then it was, you started whining like, oh, are we there yet? And it's like, you were threatened to ride on the roof rack. Right. Sometimes that might have been more comfortable.
I was like,
stretch out up there.
That might be. Yeah. But the pillow. Now, are you guys pro those neck pillows you see a lot? I've always wondered if that's.
I think it's better than nothing, especially if you're falling asleep and
if you're
going left or right.
Obviously, it won't stop you from going forward, but does it help? Or does it kind of hinder your natural?
Well, and again, I think that depends on the size of the person, because I think, even think of it like recliners. They sell these, thousands of dollars, these recliners that are so freaking expensive. But, they have these, curvatures to them for your head support. But a lot of them, depending on your size and how you fit, it'll actually push your head forward with that back headrest. And when you're pushing that head forward, even just an inch forward puts a lot of undue stress and strain on that neck.
So a smaller person using those, it might actually be pushing their
it
head
might
in the
actually
wrong
push
direction.
it might actually push their head forward, because if it's too big across the back of the neck where it's supposed to fit like in the crook of the neck and allow your head to come backwards, it might just be too big that U-shaped pillow is pushing your head forward. So
yeah, because I was never really a big fan of them. I used them once, but that's what I didn't like the way it felt in the back. Again, it was nice.
It was nice to be able to, kind of kink your head to the side.
But it always felt like I needed something else up, like behind the the top of my head then, or it was like too. I'm like, now I feel like the top of my head's not touching anything. So, that's.
You just gotta find that one that fits to you.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them are big and bulky, and that's not ideal. If you're covering the whole, backside of the neck, it's just gonna push that, that head forward, and that's not ideal. It's good for side to side, but it does kind of encourage the head going forward.
Yeah. So again, it's finding what's the unfortunate situation if you're stuck in an airplane, especially. Again, cars, you have a little more flexibility, but an airplane, you're kind of crammed in a seat. And if you're on a long flight, at least you should have a little bit more of an opportunity to get up and move around, which I do encourage people to do.
Absolutely.
Not even getting into the whole blood clot issues, swelling in the legs, especially if you have a history with that stuff, you really need to be, up and walking around. And if you're not, I even find myself, if I'm in an airplane, I will literally, I will flex my legs, flex my calves up, point my toes down, flex my calves, pull my toes up to stretch them, I'll kind of just contract my quads, the muscles in the front of your thighs, almost like if you're sitting in your seat. I mean, this is really just, kind of good description here. If you're sitting in your seat and you go to try and get up, just pushing the your feet into the floor, that right there is going to contract the front of your thighs. And just by doing that a couple times, you're not moving anywhere. It's called an isometric contraction. So you're just, pushing your legs down into the floor. You're contracting, you're tightening the quad muscles, and then you just hold that for 3 seconds and then relax it. So you literally can be pumping your leg muscles while you're sitting in your seat. You can do, I always call them butt crunches, right?
Yep.
You can sit in your seat and you just kind of squeeze your butt cheeks together, as if someone was going to kick you in the butt and you were going to protect yourself from it. You just kind of squeeze your butt cheeks together and
do your abdominal bracing.
Yeah, do your abdominal bracing. So tighten up your ab muscles. And this is something that if you do not know how to tighten your muscles, if you don't know how to activate certain muscles, this is where working with Angela at our office, and again, you don't even necessarily have to be locally. She could do that over a video and talk and
if we're saying all these words and you're like, what are you talking about? I have control of these muscles.
Yeah, they're called voluntary controlled muscles because yes, you can. I can't control the sphincter in my my digestive tract. Going from my esophagus to my stomach, but but there are a lot of the muscles that you have in your body that you activate every day are voluntary control. So if you're unsure of how to activate some of those, it might be worth getting with a personal trainer, someone who understands that and teaches you how to activate those muscles on a daily basis. There's whole books on how to train and activate without ever lifting a weight, and you could be a very in shape, a very defined muscular person and never have to lift a weight, because just by activating your muscles on a daily basis and holding for a couple seconds, you can do that while sitting. Now again, it's not ideal, but you can do that while sitting on a plane, and it's just kind of like your own little way to fidget.
Oh yeah, I look ridiculous. When I'm I'm sitting there, I'm like, it looks like I'm checking myself out because I'm moving every which way.
Which way to the beach?
I'm like, I can't sit still. I'm sorry.
It's a great way to make sure you've got good blood flow during the plane rides. Muscles act as aids for those veins and stuff to kind of keep that blood flowing. So that's where you get those blood clots.
The blood and the lymph. So if like Dr. Dan briefly mentioned swelling, but if you have any kind of that, something I'm very familiar with. But if you have any kind of if you're prone to swelling in your lower limbs or even your arms, being in that highly pressurized plane and not moving for long periods of time both of those things are going to make that swelling worse. So again, the muscle movement not only is what gets the blood flowing, but it is literally the only thing that gets the lymph moving. So when you're sitting for long periods and not moving, that lymph builds up. That's why, you'll see people with the swollen ankles and feet and, sometimes whole leg when they get off a long flight. So again, just by doing that, I'm always doing the, you mentioned, kind of doing the toe, the heel lifts.
Yeah,
but yeah,
totally.
same thing. If you can, obviously if you have something under the seat in front of you, it makes it harder, but I try to keep that seat clear in front of me so that I can actually fully extend my leg and even, contract and extend my foot so that, again, you're getting that calf literally pumping like you're pressing the pedal.
Yeah.
Again, I do that if I'm a passenger in a car, do that if I'm on a plane, and anything to just keep that moving as much as possible. Because the sitting for long periods anytime is not good, but when you're in that particular situation on a plane, it just makes it that much worse.
Yeah, well, and again, before you get on a plane, I always find it funny. We're walking through the airport, and you come up to the terminal, and you've got all these seats
Everyone's
in front of everyone's
sitting.
sitting. It's like we are literally going to be sitting on a plane, maybe 2 hours, maybe
Longer.
8 hours if it's a long flight. Like, when we're literally going to sit down, like I shouldn't say never, but I rarely sit when I walk up to the terminal and then I'm waiting to board the plane because it's like, come on, we're about to be sitting. So I'll get down into a squat position. I will, just walk around. Do laps around, the terminal, like just move your body, stretch out. People probably think I'm crazy because I'm just sitting there doing doing yoga positions.
I had a long layover once. I whipped out my resistance bands. I started using my resistance band. People were looking. I'm like, I got 2 hours. I'm not gonna
What are you gonna do? You just sit there for 2 hours and then get on a plane to sit for another 2 hours.
They were in my carry-on. I was like, all right, cool.
So, it's just getting creative and getting outside the norm because we have such a society built around sitting, as we're doing right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say. We're going to start doing active
Yes, we are. We're going to do standing
brought to you by circuit
podcasts.
training. Yeah.
But yeah, it just, it's so silly that we just, we sit and then we get on the plane and we sit and then we go on vacation and probably lay around on the beach or something.
And same thing with long driving trips. Like, you stop, you run to the bathroom real quick, and then you're back in the car, go.
Yeah.
It's like, take that, like, a lot of those rest stops are really nice for a reason.
Yeah.
They have grassy areas, they have, like, let the kids run around, let them burn off. Like, why are they going crazy in the car? Because they don't want to sit for 12 hours either. So let them run around. Let yourself, like, do some squats, do some lunges, do some jumping jacks, something to...
and again, it's like if you look at civilization, pre-cars, right? Pre major public transportation, I'm watching the series The Chosen recently, which is just a biblical depiction of Jesus' life and his disciples, but it's like they literally walked everywhere. They had, one of this, session, they saw the Roman guards were, walking along the path, and they, made Jesus' disciples carry their stuff. It was, one of the, the Bible stories, but it's like all of those people walked everywhere. Because, you were only, if you had a horse, like you wwere really, really wealthy, you were in a wealthy family. So it's like you walked and no one was overweight because, it's not that food was scarce, but it was like, you walked. We've talked about that before. You walked, 15, 20,000 steps a day. I was going to say.
Wasn't it like 12
miles a day was like
the
average of an average person, back in the hunter-gatherer, where you were just out and about, and, you had to walk to get to your water, you had to, walking to the market to get to your food, and then carry your food back to the house. Like, there was no such thing. And again, whether you had a bag or whether you had a cart that you, pushed, it was like, that was just the norm, So, 12 miles a day. And it's like, now we're lucky, we're excited when we get our 10,000 steps in, which is what, like 3, that's like 3 miles?
3.5 to 5, depending on your stride. For me, it's about 3.5.
So it's like just, moving and, so adapting that into your travel is so important as well. So
which actually brings up another great point and tip for on the go, which is you were talking about a lot of people who don't work out regularly. Sometimes you end up being more active on vacation, but what if you were somebody who does work out on a regular basis and then you go on this vacation? A lot of the times that activity level goes down. So, figuring out how to supplement, again, if you're staying somewhere that has a gym, obviously that's an easy answer. But if you're staying at, like an Airbnb or house or something that maybe doesn't have access to that, how are you supplementing that gym time? And I kind of mentioned it briefly, but my personal favorite is the resistance bands. So I take, it's, literally a little bag. It doesn't take up any room in your suitcase, and you can get a full body. I mean, you can get a full body workout with just body weight, but I like that, again, especially if you're somebody who's used to working out with more resistance. Those resistance bands, you can get a head to toe full body workout. And again, it's nice too, because if you're somewhere that is nice, like I've done those workouts outside. If I've done them, I've done them on the beach. I take my resistance bands out on the beach. I've done that. So it's in the airport, but it's so yeah, that's just such an easy way to make sure that you're still getting that resistance in, because anyone who does work out on a regular basis knows, going a week, you're like when you get back to it, you're like, okay, I'm like, how did it take me 6 months to get to where I am, and now like after 1 week I feel like I've lost so much. Now again, a week won't completely decondition you, but again, if you're going on a couple week vacation, like seems like everybody's going to Italy this year. We missed the memo. Apparently something's going on in Italy. But yeah, if you're going away for a couple weeks, you just might want to make sure that you're supplementing that. If you're getting lots of steps in, that's great. But we're talking about the muscle activation is really good for blood circulation, lymph circulation. So just, throwing in, you don't have to do it every day, but if you can throw in a couple, resistance band workouts, or, just some push-ups, some squats, something to kind of get those muscles going, makes a big difference and can really help counteract some of the, some of the additional vacation eating that you might be doing as well. So yeah, the working out is a big one. Again, it's not the time to start, don't feel that. Well, that's the other thing too. You mentioned some people, people who don't work out on a regular basis then go on these vacations.
They want to be super active.
Yeah, like that. Again, I was just on this hiking trip, and you could tell the people who were the hikers and the people that were the tourists that were like, oh, this is a cool place.
This sounds like fun.
To go. They're out there in Crocs. They're out there in
cargo pants, like cargo shorts.
Just like, I don't know, like whatever, like shoes that, again, this was rocky trails, like shoes with no tread, like the shoes I would wear to like just throw on to run to the grocery store. These people are out hiking in, and don't maybe carrying one 16-ounce water bottle with them, and just so not prepared. So again, if you are going somewhere that is going to be an active trip, just making sure you're prepared. If you're going to be hiking or biking for long periods of time, you need to have water with you, especially in the heat of the summer. Lots and lots of water. You need to have some electrolytes or salty snacks. That's kind of the idea behind trail mix. You have that. Again, you don't want to like eat that all day long if you're just sitting on the couch, but it gives you that mix of salts and healthy fats, and even that little bit of sugar with the chocolate gets thrown in there, to kind of keep you going if you're doing these long active trips. So, and really footwear is so crucial. So whatever you're planning, really making sure that you have the right footwear, because again, that's you'll otherwise you'll be the one in the office after your trip, like, oh, everything's
turned my ankle.
Yeah, like my knee, my ankle, my back, everything. I slipped. So that's just something that's fresh in my mind, is really like if that's not your normal type of vacation, great. I always encourage people to take active vacations, but making sure you're doing your research and understanding, what it really entails, making sure that you have the right things packed for the type of vacation that you are planning.
Yeah. So I want to ask one final question. I'm going to put you both on the spot. Do you have one destination that you have not been to yet, but it's on your bucket list to go to?
Ooh.
Mine, we had a patient. I'll let you think about it for a second, because mine is, I had a professor, radiology professor, Dr. Riley, you have him, Dr. Fox, right?
Yes.
Okay. He's Canadian. And so he would always interject, in these long radiographic lectures, he would interject, he's very deadpan, very, very just dry. Again, I think that just kind of comes with the nature of, what you do and reading radiology and writing reports, for hours on end a day. But he was a fantastic, instructor, very, very intelligent man. But he interjected this story at one time. I don't know how he got to it, because I think he tells it in every quarter at the same place. But he got on Banff, Canada, and I forget what territory it's in. I'm decent with U.S. geography. I'm terrible with, other countries outside. But Banff, Canada is kind of sits over the Midwest, to northwest. Yeah, he's looking it up.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Alberta, Canada.
But yeah, it is.
Wow.
He talks about how that is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And we had a patient with her husband and some family members just go out there. She said she has a bunch of pictures. I can't wait till she comes in and talks about it. But that is one of my places that I want to go. And again, it kind of, I've heard about, you can take train trips across, like the, Canadian and northern U.S. or Canada, and, Banff could be a stop on there. So that's one of the treks that I have on my list to do. So that's where we're going at some point. But anyway, that's mine.
Somewhere I've always, Ireland has always been top of my list. I actually, I babysat for an Irish family when I was, from the time I was 12 to like 20 something. So I mean, these kids grew up. I grew up with these kids basically.
And they spoke Irish, didn't they?
The father was from Ireland, so they didn't have accents, but they would go to Ireland on a regular basis, and the grandmother would come in. I've always just loved that. But again, I would hear stories and see pictures, and so it's just somewhere. I don't even necessarily have a specific place, but like Ireland, Scotland, just kind of that region, I would love. Yeah. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I love fishing, so I think it'd be fun to go like Maine
Nice.
fish. I know there's good fishing in Maine, or like Montana, just somewhere with beautiful.
You want to be on a lake?
Yeah.
I've heard northern Michigan is absolutely pristine too.
My parents go there every year because they love it so much.
Yeah, I've heard amazing things like Traverse City.
That's where they go and camp every single year.
Yeah, so I've not been up there. That's another place on my list. Yeah, there's some gorgeous places. People always talk about
the U.S.
People always talk about going to Europe, but it's like the United States is gigantic. It has so many natural, beautiful.
I was just in Hocking Hills, Ohio, like not where you would think to go for
barely 3 hours.
3.5 hours. Some of the most amazing hikes coolest things I've seen. Again, not necessarily the longest hikes, but just really cool hikes. But yeah, I would love to get out. I've only really been out west to like California. I'd like to go a little more north into some of the mountains too, because again, you just hear how absolutely beautiful it is out there. So yeah, as far as the continental, that's high on the list is to get out to like Colorado at some point. But yeah, there's so many places. If only Pittsburgh, it was easier to get some of these places. Let's work on some of our flights here, Pittsburgh Airport.
They're doing major billions of dollars of renovation in the Pittsburgh Airport.
I'm hoping that then comes with some additional
international flights, rather than just hopping down to DC or New York or Chicago.
But anyways, so yeah, hope everybody has some nice vacations planned, whether it's local or world travels, and stay healthy, get your adjustments before and after.
Prepare, get your nice healthy snacks, lots of water.
Do your best.
And move.
Yes.
Before, during, and after transit. So.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm Dr. Dan here with
Dr. Riley
and Angela.
We will see you
at
the next one.
Thank you.
You've been listening to What the Health with Dr. Dan and Angela Toro, brought to you by Toro Family Chiropractic. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, Visit www.whatthehealth.world.